greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
The regular season sportscast.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
My fellow wrestling fans, I must tell you, we are on the brink of a crisis. No, I'm not talking about the terrorist acts that are happening across our fair world. I'm not talking about the threats that may be approaching us at our borders. I speak of the act which is occurring currently in our wrestling universe. I must say, ladies and gentlemen, these acts should not be tolerated or should not be pushed forward for any longer. Welcome everybody to my episode of TRSS Intermissions, and in this intermission I will be talking about the state of the WWE and the wrestling universe alone. I am the host of the regular season sportscast, Jay the Red Santee, and I thought tonight will be the most, I guess, formidable way of presenting my views and opinions on what's happening in wrestling these days. It's everybody seems to be at an uproar of what is going on with the current state of wrestling. And I, being a wrestling fan for many years, I'm not pleased. I tolerate it because I'm a wrestling fan, and that's what a wrestling fan should do. Being a wrestling fan, we should be able to tolerate certain things, because if not, then A, you're not a wrestling fan, and B, turn it off. That's just my opinion. Just turn it off. Don't sit all day in front of your computers, bitching, scratching, and moaning, believing that your words, quote unquote, in which you spread on social media, on your blogging sites, are actually going to change the landscape of wrestling these days. Because, to be honest, they're not listening to you. They're really not. I don't care about what bogus survey they put out there stating that they are listening to you and want some feedback, which, by the way, I found an atrocious act by the WWE. I'll get into that in a minute. But to sit there and believe that this is going to be your avenue in which that they're going to hear you and listen to what your gripes are, it's ridiculous. It's not. It's something to share with those, if you are in groups or blogging sites or whatever may have you, and what you guys could share your opinions on what's going on. More power to you. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I got you about it. But if you honestly think that you know better than a person of a professional position who are doing what they're doing at this point in time, and you think you are better than that, and you have no type of creative mindset to push this outlet, I'm sorry, but you're fooling yourself. You might as well sit in front of your computer, design matches on Fire Pro Wrestling or WWE 2K series or whatever video game system or computer game, what you have available to yourself, and do your at-home booking. Because unless you know what is the right idea for certain promotions and products, your favorite wrestler can't win all the time. The favorite can't always win. Your whole heel fandom, in which all of a sudden you have grown accustomed to, because I guess you saw it and was part of it during somewhat the Attitude Era or anything opposite of John Cena has grown to become your basis of enjoying wrestling doesn't give you the stroke or the pencil, as they call it in wrestling terminologies, to know what you're talking about when it comes to booking wrestling. Fuck. I myself am I sitting here talking into a microphone about what's going to be my opinion and my creative thought process of what should be wrestling. I too fall in this category, but at least when I'm on my forum, I know the realization of what the wrestling landscape is. I understand what the wrestling landscape is. I have some type of sense of what wrestling is and what they're trying to do, because I've studied it. I watched it. I've been involved in some and most part of the creative process of doing it. Was I with a big name promotion? No, but I helped to organize and structure certain things, and I also was a part of being in the theatrical world of what presents a good piece of material for audiences. And these days, wrestling may not be capturing your attention for whatever some odd reason, but there is other outlets that in which you can exercise your wrestling experiences in a whole. It doesn't have to just be WWE. And we'll get to that in a moment.
You can't handle the truth.
Let's be honest, guys. Wrestling is what it is. It's wrestling. Scripted portrayal of fighting combat in which one or more parties enter a square circle to do battle and tell a story of good versus evil, be it face versus heel. Yes, my friends, that's what wrestling is. And with that, there are certain components within wrestling which become a part of the magistry and theatrics, which is wrestling, which is known as promos or skits or segments. Yes, my friends, this is part of getting the product over. Guys, we have to come to the realization that at the end of the day, it's not always about the product that we see on TV. There is other areas of wrestling in which you can watch. WWE is not the be-all, end-all of watching wrestling, although that is the goal for many wrestlers who are in the business, that where they want to be, because, of course, that's where the money is. In the great words of Dusty, that is where the money is. Show me the money. So you want to get to the flagship of what wrestling is, which is the WWE, which is understandable. But there are other areas in which people can go and watch wrestling. One area is called the indie scene. What is that, you may ask? Well, for those who are novice to what an indie scene is, indies or independent wrestling is an area in which it's not fully broadcasted on TV. Sometimes they may have a public access channel in which they may be able to show their shows, or they might have somewhat of a local network deal, or they may not have any shows that's televised on TV and then they televised on the internet, or maybe not. Maybe they just go from city to city, town to town, and do what they do in a ring. A lot of you guys who are fans of wrestling are upset with WWE and such products because it's not similar to the indies. They don't do what the indies do. The indies have guys who do a lot of more stuff and crazier stuff. Let me give you the 411 on that. The reason why indie guys do what they do in these shows is A, to put on a good show for you guys, of course. B, to sell tickets and merchandise. C, to help put that promotion over. And D, to get to WWE. If it wasn't for you marks that it would put their names out there for them doing a triple hurricanrana or double set power bomb on through announcers or table at a local bar or gym or bingo hall, they wouldn't get to the WWE. And when they do get to the WWE, they don't do what they used to do in the indies. And what happens? You guys automatically turn on them and begin to start to put the bashing on. Yes, my friends, this is what you do. You start.
It's bashing time.
Exactly. You start to put the bashing.
It's bashing time.
And it's unfortunate because you guys help to make these guys get to where they want to be. The Dean Ambroses, John Moxley, Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen, Seth Rollins, Tyler Black, CM Punk. You're the reason why these guys are there, and they're making the big money. So let's separate what it is. You have products that are out there to entertain the masses in small communities to help bring them to bigger scales. If it's not WWE, they could get to TNA. If they're not in TNA, they're in Ring of Honor. If they're not in Ring of Honor, they're in ROH. If they're not on ROH, they're in Global Force Wrestling. If they're not, they have to get there by some rhyme or reason, and it's because of you. So when your favorite wrestler makes it to the big card, then they're out there doing the big dance, and they're not doing what you expect them to be doing at the big dance, well, thank yourselves. Because if it wasn't for you stirring up the pot in the rumor mill of who's actually good, these people wouldn't know who the fuck they are. That's probably the only outlet in which you are helpful, in which you're developing talent and grateful to be a part of wrestling, is getting the names of wrestlers out, like the Richard Swans, the Sammy Callahans. These are guys who may have never seen the light of day, and if it wasn't for you, who was uploading their YouTube videos when you were at an indie show, or going on Twitter and hashtagging WWE, hey, you need to give this guy a shot. Well, that's where you are helpful. Other than that, you have no idea what you're doing when it comes to creative. That's it. Because at the end of the day, if it was that easy, all your indie stars would be in the fucking WWE. Because honestly, at the end of the day, all WWE is telling you is,
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
The regular season sports cast.
also, let's just say that we want to talk about the avenue of creative. Everybody has their opinions about creative. And granted, the state of wrestling has not been this in a good light for the past year or so. TNA has just simply imploded. I don't know what the hell happened over there. You have the roster full of wrestlers there who are, and by the way, they are wrestlers. At the end of the day, they're wrestlers. You could say this. I would never say that Davey Richards or Eddie Edwards are sports entertainers. I'm not gonna say that. These guys are wrestlers. John Cena, regardless of what you think about him, is not a sports entertainer. He's a wrestler, or as you may say in the South, wrestler. They're wrestlers, and there's a shitload of talent in these promotions. Granted, you get promotions creatively that may have the ability to put storylines, angles together, angles and such that may or may not be able to draw the heat or the passion out of the audience and the fans. But all in all, it's put together creatively. That's what creative does. For instance, Ring of Honor is one of the premier promotions that has top-notch talent. I mean, there are example of guys who are going out there tearing it up and putting their bodies, throwing it against the wind just to put on a fantastic show for the audience. But, they don't really have much to do with creative. Why? Because they put on an hour show a week, possibly, and maybe it's more on the internet and such, but it's an hour show a week, and the rest of the time they're on the road, so they don't have to put things on creatively. They're done. You guys are the ones that tune in because you're watching wrestling. Then you have TNA, who has a 2-hour outlet and has the talent up the wazoo, but don't have any creativity in their body. There was a point in time in which that they were going into the WWE's trash can and were dumpster diving for stories to see what creative threw out.
Oh, my God.
Which is insane. I mean, they were just basically recycling their heroes. Eric Young became, he was the Daniel Bryan ripoff. It just you had the formulation of Beatdown Click, which was nothing but Nexus and the NXT squad. They were just dumpster diving, and if it was done properly, it could have worked. Yeah, it could have worked, but as always, it finds a way to fall flat. Why? Because at the end of the day, there has to be a payoff. And this is what we're missing in our wrestling, the payoff. WWE is falling well short of that as well. Now, let me explain something to you. I'm the guy who's the first one on the front line who's saying, you know what? WWE, at the end, they always get it right. They've done it in previous WrestleManias. We've seen, how the villain always gets foiled in the end by the good guy who everyone was backing. But these days, with many of their superstars falling with injury, Cesaro, Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, you may be seeing creative offices sounding like Mayday. It seems like there's a problem going on over there. My issue is, first of all, I hear there's about like 25, 26, almost 30 creative participants in the room. And the most part, the majority of that is heavy lifting at Raw. Why? Why do you need all those? There's guys in NXT and even in TNA, it's only like the most maybe 10, if that. Why would you need 25? And let's say, all right, you do have SmackDown, you have Superstars, you have whatever other shows that you have. 25 seems way too much for some movies don't even have that many writers. A movie which comes on like even soap operas don't even have that much. That's a lot of people in the kitchen cooking. Another thing when it comes to creative is you don't hear of any former or current wrestlers involved in pushing their gimmicks and such. And what I mean that is, okay, let's talk about former wrestlers. You have guys in the industry, and mind you, I listen to a lot of shoot interviews. I listen to certain podcasts and stuff, and you could take it with a grain of salt of what these wrestlers have done or their history or their involvement in anything. It's give and take or whatever you think it is. But while listening to these interviews, I've heard a lot of these guys who actually have good ideas when it comes to booking. Hell, some of these guys actually sound legitimate enough in which they can book their own product if they wanted to. You know, there's guys who have a head for the business, who are actually creative. They're not just going in the ring, taking a bump, putting somebody over, being put over, whatever the case may be. There are guys who are actually headstrong and believe that there is a way to tie stories together. Example, Lance Storm is a guy who's on Twitter who has many ideas. Although he may not want to do that because he's satisfied with what he has going on with his wrestling school and stuff. But he's a guy who is creative, understands, what the business is about, and is probably a guy that they might want to reach out to and talk about maybe doing something with. Same thing could be with Mick Foley. Mick Foley's been in the business for years, and the guy knows the product. He knows what the landscape is, has a finger, the pulse on what, not only the fans want, but what, the industry's about. Another guy who may shock you if you guys don't really know is Bubba Ray, Bully Ray in TNA. Guy is, educated not only in wrestling, but has a well-versed intellect outside of wrestling. Same could be said about Raven. These guys know wrestling. They know how the pacing and such works when it comes to being creative. Now, I'm not telling you to sit there and put a boardroom full of these guys in and make them become, the full creative. But, put some of these guys in there to give them their veteran experience and give their insight of how pacing goes. Speaking of pacing, same thing can be said about the wrestlers in the ring. Guys in the ring, I don't blame you 100% because there's a bunch of you. There's a fucking shitload of you guys in wrestling. And just WWE alone is a fucking shitload of you guys, which will lead me to another segment in a minute. But I can go to Ring of Honor as well, which they only have maybe in that hour window to produce a product, and there's not a lot of ways to have storytelling in that ring. And their pay-per-views, you do see it though. But wrestlers need to hold themselves accountable as well, because understandably, you're given about a 5 to maybe 7 minute window to put on a match. And it's tough to sell a story during that. I get it. It's not easy to do. Years ago when you watched wrestling, you watched Superstars, you had Wrestling Challenge, you had NWA, WCW shows, whatever the case may be. They were a few, they had a couple hours to work in, and they was able to give a pacing of what the match is. You get guys who show facial expressions, a lot of talking, let the referee get involved. There's a way to slow the pace down by grabbing the hair, taunting the audience, that kind of thing. One wrestler in particular that actually does that, who I believe is actually a very classic wrestler, he might be out of his era, is Kevin Owens. Whenever you see Kevin Owens wrestle, he is the epitome of what a classic style wrestling is, which also tells a story that has to be put over. Owens is the guy you can look at and say, you know what, I hate him, but I like him at the same time, which I understand the whole tweener thing, and we'll get to that as well.
What don't you fucking understand?
There is something in wrestling that needs to be sold, in which is the believability. There's something out there that's used by social media and the fans, which is called accessibility, internet accessibility. And the wrestlers are using it too, which means you're able to convey and transfer and share information via social media. Twitter has been like a large format in which wrestlers are able to express themselves and sell whatever tchotchkes and merchandise that they have, and also, give, a kind of connection with the fans. But let me enlighten some of you guys about something. Okay, creatively, the whole thought process is kayfabe is dead. That's the whole thought process, which is terrible. I don't want to even say that's true, but kayfabe is dead. For those of you who do not know what kayfabe is, it means it is the fake acting or fake life in which wrestlers lead. Hence, bad guys, good guys. Okay. I think with that being said, there's a way in which that you can still bring an element to wrestlers using social media. Give them some type of credibility in their heat or in their pop. For instance, WWE has their own separate social media outlets for the wrestlers. That's why a lot of times you go on Twitter, you see WWE at WWE Kevin Owens, at the real Randy Orton, or whatever the fuck their names are. Right? But it's all, labeled WWE something. WWE has to be there. This is their medium in which they express themselves as said character or whatever, or even their personal life, which troubles me because for me, I'm just a rinky-dink podcaster who is trying to put over my show, which is TRSS, the regular season sportscast, by the way, in case you haven't heard the drops. And I'm
The regular season sportscast.
Yeah, that's me. And even I have two separate accounts. Yeah, I do. I have two separate social media accounts for everything I do. I have it for Instagram. I have it for my Facebook. I have it for my Twitter. Whatever ones I have. And why? Is because I want to sell the product of the regular season sportscast and Rageworks on one and separate my personal life on another. I don't want them really to intertwine. I'll only do it as a way to, try to bring whatever fans or any impending fans that I don't have in my personal life to check out what I have with my product. But other than that, I don't want to cross the two. I see a lot of indie guys do that as well. They're doing, pops and putting heat on their personal page. It's like, no. And they put their personal stuff on their gimmick page. What are you doing? I don't know if they're not aware of what they're doing, or there's a lot of heavy drinking. Who knows? Any case, I don't know. But there's a way that big name industry stars can do that. If, let's say, Dean Ambrose wants to go under his original name, more power to him. He can have his own following there, but keep it personal. Don't try to involve the fans too much. Keep those social media stuff like that you could keep that to your personal side. Share things personally. And anything you want to be involved with in your life that has to do with business, be on top of stuff, do it on your gimmick page. With that, let's say one of the top guys that I like to see on social media is Dolph Ziggler. He's always promoted his comedy shows. He's always going at it back and forth with wrestlers on his Twitter. It's cool. I like it because it brings the personality of his gimmick and himself through social media. But I don't want to hear that he was at Bray Wyatt's fucking wedding on that page. I don't want to know about that. I want to know. I want to feel that him and Bray don't fucking like each other for real. Like that kind of shit. Like it is missing. And I know they're gonna say, well, wrestling fans are not, they're not dumb anymore. And social media and the internet fucking smartened them up a little bit, which is understandable. It was inevitable. But there was still a way to continue the mirage, which is the whole heel and face factor. The Miz was a guy who I've heard, and I know him from reality shows prior to, but off the air, I've heard that he was a real prick. Like, really, he was a prick. And I wanted to continue that when he became a wrestler and he was a heel. So I said, I've heard this guy's a prick, so I know his character is a prick. And I believe in it, and I still do, because I know that it's been said many times after. He's still a prick. Nothing's changed. We're missing that. We're missing the imagination of what wrestling is. It's become too real for us. I don't want to know that fucking Arrow, Stephen Amell, he works out and actually does his own stunts. I really don't care. I think it's cool, but I don't care. I want to believe in Arrow doing what Arrow fucking does. And then when I hear about Stephen Amell, off the air, I want to find out if he's banging hot chicks and shit. Like, that's the only thing I want to know about Stephen Amell. I don't want to care about nothing else. Let Arrow be Arrow. No, I want that realization that the character still is somewhat real, although I know it's not. But I wanted to have that feeling. One of the biggest things before I move on is the whole Rusev and Lana fucking debacle that happened on, with them sharing their engagement on TMZ. Mind you, deep down in my mind, I think it's a work meaning that WWE probably planted that because they had a feeling that whole Dolph Ziggler fucking angle and storyline was not going to go over. Although it was, but it wasn't going to last for too long. Wrestlers used to get punished for doing shit like that. You killed the story in the middle of its angle. Like, I don't get it how this was acceptable. If years ago, if in the territories, if a heel was seen having drinks at a bar with a face, these guys were either punished or they were fucking fired. Nonetheless, creatively, there's a way for you guys to get on fucking board and actually make kayfabe work to your advantage by using social media. Just take a moment to think about it.
I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Another thing that products need to do, especially, well, this was really geared to WWE itself, but one thing that needs to be done is splitting the brands. Okay. TNA, there's another thing with TNA is that there's no gray area with their wrestlers. There's no, everybody seems to be tweener in TNA. Same could be said about Ring of Honor. Everybody has their fan favorites, but once again, you're not sitting there trying to bring the full heat when it comes to guys who are supposed to be the heels of the company. In WWE, this is not their case. Their case is you have too many fucking guys on the roster. There's too many male and females on the fucking roster. You guys got a bunch of people up there. Everybody wants to get called up. You fans want everybody to get called up. Oh, Tyler Breeze needs to be in the main roster. Or why is Samoa Joe still in NXT? Or, there's too many fucking people on the main roster. Honestly, there is way too many people up there. Check out WWE.com and look at the roster and see how many people are up on that roster. It's time to split the brand. Split it. People were so interested in very, very nonchalant about saying, well, you split the brand. That means that, there's possibly going to be an A show and a B show. No, No such thing. There shouldn't be such a thing. All shows are A shows, point blank. Let's put the product out there and let's get the talent up there at the time that they rightly deserve to get. This is ridiculous. Everybody can't be on Raw and everybody can't be on SmackDown. Oh, but we have main event and superstars. Okay. Well, who the fuck is watching that? And if so, if you split the brand, at least when you do so, it gives people a purpose to watch these shows. We don't have jobbers anymore. That practice is long gone. As much as you can say is, oh, well, Zack Ryder's a jobber. No, he's not. He's a mid-carder, and he's actually a really good fucking wrestler who can get more shine if he should. One guy who I believe should get more shine than he should be getting right now is Fandango. Guy's fucking awesome. Guy can wrestle his ass off. Gimmick is hokey, but that's what wrestling's about. Fucking hokey fucking gimmicks. Same thing about Adam Rose. Fine. The Adam Rose train gimmick, the party goer or whatever the fuck he is now, where he's, I guess, a fucking blogger or whatever he is now. That gimmick may not be going over, but still in all, the guy can wrestle. Hell, if you wanted to, bring him back as Leo Kruger. That was actually a better fucking gimmick for him. But if not, do something with these guys and split the brands. You have the belts. Okay, fine. You don't want to bring back the another world heavyweight championship belt. You unify the other one. Okay, bring back a TV title. Bring back a light heavyweight title. Most or half of that roster is under 220 anyway. So give them something to fight for. Make the show outside of Raw, which is SmackDown, something to watch. You split the roster down the middle. It's fun. And then it makes you think, these guys are fighting in different areas of the show with a different show here, a different show there. Then you get to do your Survivor Series where what show is better when it comes to teams. And then you have also where you have the Super Show, which you could do like once every 3 months or once every 4 months, whatever the case may be, to where you can say, you know what, this guy's excelling. Maybe how would he do against a John Cena? Or maybe if these two guys who haven't fought each other in over a year or so fight each other now because they've been getting experience in other shows, maybe it brings anticipation. It brings some type of excitement because we don't have jobbers anymore. Years ago, we would watch a jobber get his ass beat by Ultimate Warrior, get his ass beat by Hulk Hogan for months. And in your mind, you will go, I wonder what it would be like if Ultimate Warrior fought Hulk Hogan. And boom, you got the payoff at WrestleMania 6 because you hadn't seen it. That's what we need to do for these brands now. Separate the stars and give us the anticipation of what it would be like if one wrestler fought another and possibly, build something. Oh, by the way, bring the women's championship belt back and put it on the show, either Raw or SmackDown, because that diva shit is horrible.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
Lastly, minimize content not pertainable to wrestling. Okay, fine. You guys have advertisers. You got to put promotion out there. More power to you. I get it. But a fucking Kentucky Fried Chicken segment, a Hardy segment, a Powerade segment doesn't fucking push the product. You know what pushes the product? Having your wrestlers, your talent, hold, wear, or eat said product without having to do a fucking live commercial for it. I'm just saying. Listen. Look at basketball. Look at athletes. Nobody has to sell me on buying a pair of sneakers. LeBron doesn't have to do a full commercial. Why? Because I watch the game and I see the sneakers that he's wearing. Case in point. Done. Over with. I don't need to buy Gatorade because a fucking commercial tells me to. Why? Because I watch football and I see that's what all players are drinking. Gatorade, Powerade, whatever. I don't need a commercial being done by the athlete in the middle of a game. You don't see LeBron coming at halftime saying, hey guys, I dropped 23 points. I had 8 assists and 6 rebounds. And it's not because of the hard work I did. It's because of these new Nikes that I have on now. These are because of the Nikes that I have. You can get these now at Foot Locker. You can also get them at rappers do that shit. You know, musicians do that shit. It's fucking tacky. They don't have to sell the product. But same thing can be said with the wrestlers. Look, if you got to do a commercial for Hardy's, Dean Ambrose could be sitting there and cutting a promo while eating a fucking a Wendy's cheeseburger. Like you don't have to do a whole commercial. Like, oh, hold on, let me put my Wendy's cheeseburger down. Yeah. So let's say like you don't have to do a full commercial. It's called product placement. It's subtle. I mean, honestly. Then everything is segments on top of segments on top of segments on top of segments. It's filtering down what wrestling is supposed to be. You're watching wrestling. Here's another thing. Minimizing content. Cut the fucking show down. Raw is 3 hours long. It's long. That's a lot of wrestling. Started at 8, finish at 10. And if you have any bonus things, you can put it on the network. Why? Because a lot of people are getting the network now. They like to see old school shit. I remember watching like Smoky Mountain Wrestling or what you call it, or WCW, NWA, the old school, the 80s one, where they had, here's another thing, time limits. Time limits work. This fall it's for a 10-minute time limit singles competition. Like, you know, give it a time limit. If a match doesn't finish in 10 minutes, booyah, it carries over to next week, right? Because the bell rang and these guys were fighting so hard that they couldn't finish in 10 minutes. Oh, well, it extends the program. It extends the angle. You know, same thing could be said about with the program in wrestling. Listen, the show doesn't have to automatically come to a stop. It doesn't hit a post at 9 o'clock or at 10 o'clock. Ring of Honor does it. It'll say, oh my God, we don't have any more time left. Check us out next week on blah, blah. You know why? Because it'll draw the audience back to want to watch the show to say what happened last week. Even better for WWE. WWE, check this out. You have the network. You do this. Oh my God, John Cena's about to get pinned. 1, 2, but we don't have any more time left. Check us out on WWE Network. Subscribers then now change over to the WWE Network and now can watch the end. And for people who don't have the network, they'll say, fuck, I need the network now because I don't know what the fuck happened at the end of that match. I don't know. I'm just a guy from Brooklyn who's transplanted into Queens now, who just has certain ideas, who's seen what worked in the past that can work now. This is just me. I'm just saying. Because honestly, at the end of the day, you want to keep the audience captivated and intrigued on what's going on. You want them to say, oh, fuck, I got to watch what's happening next week. Oh, fuck, I got to go over to the WWE Network. Damn, I got to watch that. If you just go, oh, my God, Roman Reigns just speared Sheamus through the table. Good night, everybody. And we have to see the end of the show, just point blank. That was it. The end. We're not going to care about what happens next week. We want to see a continuous. You know what's the best and highest rated shows on television? To Be Continues. Yes. To Be Continues. You have soap writers on your creative team. Soap opera writers know how to use cliffhangers to bring back an audience. That's what the product needs. Cliffhangers. And that's why if you split the brand, you're not going to cliffhanger to SmackDown. Fuck that. Make the audience wait till fucking next week. Make them wait till the next Raw. Don't make them watch SmackDown for the finishing of that shit. Or make them go to the WWE Network and watch the rest of this shit. Watch the aftermath. You think I really care about seeing Roman Reigns sitting in the middle of the ring, waving his hand after he lost his championship belt and just look sad going into the gorilla position in the behind the scenes? No, I don't care about that shit. What I care about is If I miss something that happened that night, I'm going to go, fuck, what the hell happened? I got to come back and watch. Stay tuned. I'm just saying.
Welcome to the end of your life, and I promise it's going to hurt.
I tell you, my fellow Americans, we are here looking at a state of our wrestling union, and we are saddened by what is being produced by this product. I must say that although we are fans for many, many years, we also must do due diligence on what is the future of our products. We cannot let creative win. We cannot let the COOs, the CEOs, and the presidents and owners of these wrestling promotions dictate to us what it is we need to do to continue to watch wrestling. Actually, the real thing is, they can do that. They really can. They can dictate it. Because at the end of the day, we don't tell them what we want. They're supposed to show us a product that we want. That's advertising. That's what it is. I want Samsung to show me a product on TV and go, oh, I need to have that. I need that phone. I don't need to write to Samsung and say, well, you know what you can do with your phone? Maybe you can add another camera that could actually get more definition on my ball sack when I'm trying to send, an eggplant picture to a certain young lady. No. They need to have the concept of showing me a product in which I need to want to be involved with. Same thing can be said about wrestling. Wrestling doesn't need my opinion. There's no other TV show that does that. Blacklist does not send me a survey to say, listen, where do you want Red Reddington to go this year? Do you want him to go and travel to Dubai? Do you want him to do a terrorist act in Spain? No, they don't tell me. They don't ask me. They just do it. WWE has now become more of a please you rather than need me type of product. And that's what it is. You need the product. You need to watch wrestling. You got to drop everything that you're doing to watch wrestling. My household is a family friendly wrestling household because we love wrestling. That's what it is. As much as we'll sit there and go, oh, fuck, not again with this bullshit. We watch it. And you know what? We need to cut the whole bullshit. Like, well, wrestling needs to go back to the Attitude Era. It's done. It's over. Get over it. It's passé. You know what? It's fucking boring. The same thing can be said about, they need to bring back chair shots. No, they don't. You know why? It's passé. Half of these motherfuckers don't even know how to take or give a chair shot. Let's be honest. These things are supposed to be done as a novelty, as a taboo. So if somebody does get hit over the head with a chair, you could go, holy fuck. It's the same thing about taking a pile driver. You could go, holy fuck, because it's rarely done. So if somebody takes a chair shot over the head, it surprises you. It shocks you, which is great. If I continue to go up to you every day and flick you on the forehead at the same time, flick you at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, flick you at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, flick you at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're going to be annoyed and it's going to fucking bother you and you're not going to want it done anymore. It's entertaining for me and probably a lot of people who do see it, but it's not going to be entertaining for you because it's done for. And then after a while, even the people around me will go, oh my God, he's coming again at 3 o'clock to flick him on the forehead. It gets boring after a while. You need to have the shock value. Same thing could be said about the blood. Blood can't be done all the time. It can't. It becomes boring. It becomes passé. And let me give you some hindsight on certain things also. In closing, promotions die. It's inevitable. Promotions go away. Smoky Mountain, gone. NWA territories, gone. Mid-Atlantic, gone. WCCCW, gone. WCW, gone. Promotions die. ECW, gone. This is what happens to promotions. And sometimes it's not because of viewership or following, whatever the case may be. Sometimes things just have the end of its run. Am I going to say this about WWE? It's a big machine. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of cogs that are in place that makes this machine go. But if WWE does not grab hold of what's going on with their product, they're going to go back to being that WWE of old, which was WWF, where you can get them on local stations out of small venues, pre-recording tapings, and soon it may go away itself. I don't know what to tell you guys. Wrestling fans, you either make this genre, this day and age of wrestling, or you fucking infect it like a disease with your bitching and griping, and will probably put the product in the hole, into the grave. Later. This is the end of our State of the Wrestling Universe address.